What's up, Internet World? We're the News 19 Nerds. I'm Leroy.
I'm Michael.
No comments about the hat.
It's a nice hat. I feel like you fit right in with the town of London.
I've always wanted to go.
Oh, you never been?
Never been to London.
Interesting.
I've been to Portsmouth. I've been to Edinburgh. I've been to Belfast. Never actually been to London. Huh. I've always wanted to go.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking about The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's latest flick.
Pip pip cheerio.
See, I don't feel like that's the right accent for this movie.
Oh, it definitely isn't.
Well, that's a little more upper class to me than.
Well, there were a lot of upper class people in this movie.
Okay, I'll give you that.
This was a very. I don't want to say classist movie, but there was definitely a difference in class in different people in this movie.
Sure. Everybody's trying to fly above their station, as it were. The latest movie from
Guy Ritchie,
who gave us Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch.
He's given us a lot.
I'm trying to think of all those like British gangster movies though. Rock and Rolla.
Mm-hmm. He helped produce Layer Cake.
Yes, he also helped produce Layer Cake.
Matthew Vaughn. That's how Matthew Vaughn actually got to do. So a lot of people don't realize that Layer Cake was actually Guy Ritchie actually helped produce that movie, and then Matthew Vaughn directed it, which then led him to do X-Men First Class, which then Kingsman, because remember he left Days of Future Past before it started to go do Kingsman. So yeah,
this was, I mean, non-spoilers first.
Yep.
Thought it was fun.
Okay.
It is not my favorite British gangster movie of Guy Ritchie. It's a toss-up for me between Snatch and Rock and Rolla. I really enjoy both those movies a lot.
Okay.
Brad Pitt's performance as a gypsy pikey in Snatch is really great to me. And Rock and Roll, it just oozes something about it. Everything just works in that movie. It just pops. I feel like there's some stuff.
Are you
here.
dancing like Jared Butler did when he was trying to fight?
I mean, maybe I was just channeling that. I don't know.
What you were doing?
Because I love this so much. I don't know. But this movie, I think it was fine, but there were some questionable moments in it, and I don't like some of the style choices that the director made in it.
All right.
Yeah.
I really like this one. I honestly, going into it, I was really hype about it. Then as I saw it, I was like, ooh. And then it got so much better. And then it turned into a Guy Ritchie movie as it was going on. Like it honestly, you know what it reminded me of?
What's that?
You know, like somebody's done some other things. They're good at something, or you're good at something, and you start doing the thing you used to do, and you're a little shaky at it in the beginning, and then as you keep, you're like, oh, you get your groove back. That's how I felt the movie was.
Okay.
In the beginning, I felt it was like, this doesn't seem like a Guy Ritchie movie. And then as the movie started going on, I was like, oh, there you are, Guy Ritchie. And then I was like, okay, I'm back on board.
One thing that I feel like always kind of sticks out in Guy Ritchie movies is the pacing of the editing in terms of the cuts and the shots.
Yeah.
And to me, I didn't like how this was edited together.
Now, you know why that's the reason, or I'm sorry, you know the reason why. If you go on IMDb, if you look at who his screenwriters are, I'm wondering how much of this movie is Guy Ritchie and how much of it, because there's 2 extra screenwriters who are attached to this movie who helped him, who are given writing credits.
Okay.
So I'm wondering...
It's not just solely...
And so I'm wondering how much of this movie is pure Guy Ritchie and how much of it is Guy Ritchie produced, directed, but it was his disciples who...
Guy Ritchie and friends.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I went back and looked at. If you go to IMDb and look up right here, you see... So if you scroll up where it says director, if you go up it says story by. Guy Ritchie is the first one for screenplay, but if you look, Ivan Atkinson and Martin Davies are 2 people who are credited, who are not credited in any other movies. They were also assistants on other films.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, again, this is that tree that
you're your proteges, you groom them, and they go off do their own stuff.
And see, that's the same thing with Matthew Vaughn did. The reason why I bring up Matthew Vaughn, because that's another one of his disciples, so to speak, that if you go back and watch Layer Cake seemed to be more Guy Ritchie than this did. So that's where I bring that up.
What do you think of the performances overall of the people?
First, let me say, I was very into this movie over the look and style. One, I miss a proper gangster flick.
Sure.
I
sure.
miss the guys, and I miss, if you remember the Sugar Hill, Wesley Snipes. I miss when gangsters dressed up. They had this motif. Now, not in real life, but in the movie
in the
world,
movies.
In the movie world, they had this. They were outside the law. They did these things, and they walk and talk. They spoke, and they had the coolest cars. This movie brings that back.
For sure.
I like seeing Matthew McConaughey as a bad guy. Matthew McConaughey needs to play more villains.
Hugh Grant needs to play more villains.
Hugh Grant is disgusting in this movie.
In a good way, though, right?
Yeah,
or no?
but when
to
I'm
me,
saying,
I was like, I don't like you, and I love.
that's
you.
what I'm saying. Like it's you hated him.
Yeah.
And especially once you figure out everything that's going on, you're like, man, I thought Hugh Grant was going to be the good guy in this, and you're like,
Oh, I never thought that.
Well, I thought he was going to be the good guy delivering like, I'm here to save you guys, and then as
What's the last thing you've seen Hugh Grant in? Because if you haven't seen it, it's fine.
That's what I'm saying.
Never?
I might have seen About a Boy.
Okay. Because there was a point when Hugh Grant was this kind of oafish, I'm
Yeah,
so
I know.
clumsy,
I
blah,
know
blah.
exactly
You
what
know,
you're talking about.
he had that, and then he had a turning point. I don't know if it was the scandal or whatever. He had a turning point where he started doing darker stuff, and he has been great. Like this, like...
A Very British Scandal.
A Very British Scandal.
I have not seen all of that.
He's the villain in one of the Paddington movies, right?
If you say so.
I'm pretty sure he's the villain in one of the Paddington movies, but I'm like, evil Hugh Grant is the Hugh Grant we need. I love him as a kind of a morally dubious character.
Oh, he is definitely more.
Yes, I love it.
So he was good.
Mm-hmm.
The two people to me who were the best was Matthew McConaughey and, Matthew McConaughey was amazing. But I also want to give a shout out to a couple of people in this movie. I really like Charlie Hunnam, but my favorite person in this movie was Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell was amazing in this movie. Like,
I have so many questions, just like leaps in logic of and I guess we'll get to it when we get to spoilers. It's like, who are these people that...
We'll get to that, but I will say this.
What?
This is a movie that I can honestly say, it was a good movie. This movie was about class. At the end of the day, this movie is about class and legitimacy. And I will say this, and people don't realize how powerful comedians can be at times because they satirize what is going on. Chris Rock said this best: behind every great fortune, there is a great crime. If you look at all the people who have these huge fortunes, they have done something to make that money that was considered wrong in their day, and they flipped that and made it legal. If you go back and watch The Wire, that's exactly what Stringer Bell was trying to do. He was trying to flip this money to be legal, and that's what The Gentleman is about.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that you saw the walk between the criminal lifestyle and the aristocracy of the UK, and that's what I really liked about this movie, and part of the reason why I have this outfit on today, because I miss when gangsters dressed up.
I wore this because I felt like it.
And it was cold.
It was earlier. Were there any characters that you wish they got to do more? Because I already got one.
Oh yeah, the women.
Yes. When we first saw this trailer, you talked about Michelle Dockery. I wasn't familiar with her. I liked the few times that she was on screen. She really stood out to me.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed her, and I would love to see her do more.
Woman
stuff.
is skinny as hell though.
Yeah, but
straight up and down. I was like,
but it's. She's not like physically imposing, but she had a confidence about her. I was like,
oh yeah,
I took her seriously, and I really liked Michelle Dockery's performance.
Yeah.
But people that I wish got to do more, Henry Golding.
Oh yeah.
And maybe it's just because I like him now from Crazy Rich Asians and
A Simple
Favor.
A Simple Favor plan.
Simple Favor.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a different movie.
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to see him get to do more, and I wish more of the Asian crime gang had got to do more. Like Tom Wu, who plays Lord George, was underutilized, and I just remember him from a movie that you like a lot, King Arthur.
Yep.
And he was also, I won't say his name because I'll say it wrong and it'll be racist, but he was a character in the what was the show on Netflix?
Ooh, Assassins?
No, not that one. It was like one of their. It was one that was like super expensive.
Sense8?
No, with the Mongol dynasty.
Oh, Marco Polo.
Yes, thank you, Marco Polo. He was in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a great actor, and I wish I got to see more. I wish I got to see him do more stuff. So yeah, to me, the people that I wish were got females, obviously, and then Henry Golding and Tom Wu for me.
I enjoyed this movie. I went into it with high expectations. As I was sitting in the movie theater and it started, I was like, I'm not sure where this is going. Because it just didn't start. The editing choices were a little different. It didn't start the way I wanted it to. And maybe that's just me going into it thinking I'm going to get a classic Guy Ritchie movie. But it was definitely a different movie, a movie that I enjoyed, but I didn't expect. Again, the beginning was a little weird for me. But that's just because I think there might be some other things involved, and Guy Ritchie might have gotten some, I don't know what to say, tips or maybe some things. Because remember, he hadn't done a gangster film in years, probably a decade.
His last movie was Aladdin.
And before that was...
Was that King Arthur?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then, remember, he's done Sherlock Holmes.
Man, where's Sherlock Holmes 3 at?
I mean, he said he said they're gonna get it done.
They've been talking about Sherlock Holmes 3 for a while.
That's why I said it's very interesting that he has been away from this genre for so long that he is done, and it didn't at first seem, but then once it got started, once the ball started moving, I was like, oh, I see where you're going. I was like, okay, I'm on board. So out of all of his movies, this is probably below my top 3. It's definitely not the worst. It's definitely not Revolver. I think Revolver is his worst movie.
I still haven't seen that.
Don't.
Okay.
It looks great, but it's not a good. And in my opinion, it's not a good movie. It's his worst. But I think this is above Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. But I will say this: I love Lock, Stock. I love that movie.
So ratings.
I give it 3.5 newsboy caps.
Okay. That's cool.
That's what they're called.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it. I'll give it 3.5 out of 5. Estate manners.
Okay.
Yeah. Spoilers now. Getting into spoiler territory. Where you want to start? Was this movie racist?
They play with race. So this is the funny thing. They play with race a lot, which I thought was interesting. Which I thought was. That's why I said this is a movie about class, and because they played with it well, the dialogue to me was very interesting because they used the word Chinaman.
Yeah, like what? To what purpose? What are we doing?
And again, I wonder, is it because of who they are?
Who they are?
They're gangsters. They're not. In other words, these aren't people who. This isn't the PC group of people who are like. And you saw that when they went to the boxing with Colin Farrell's character. Excuse me, sinuses, man. Man, I hate this season.
Because the coach says he's a black.
No.
Whatever.
The other player.
Right. Sorry.
He said that.
Right.
He called him a black.
A C word. And then the coach explains.
2. I miss this. I miss like no one curses like the Brits.
That's true.
No one says the word bollocks the way the Brits do.
Yeah.
They curse like no one else does.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it.
So the guy calls him a black C, whatever, and then the coach explains, no, it's because he does it with love.
No, remember the black boss was like, Coach, that's racist.
Yeah.
And he says, no. And he broke down. He was like, you're black. He says, you are black. He didn't mean it racially. You were like all black people are. He says, no, you're black. And you are a bit of a, he said, yeah, I am. But I don't know what black has to do with it. And he was like, I think it was done with love.
Yeah, but see, even saying that, like, that doesn't excuse the fact that it was still kind of racist. Like, I mean, you can say that. I still thought it was kind of. Like,
See,
I I didn't think that was funny. I think it was necessary.
I laughed the entire time that conversation happened because I didn't see it as racist.
Yeah.
Because I understood the breakdown of what he meant. He wasn't saying he was racist. The black was just an adjective to the fact that you are a C word.
Yeah.
And he was like, I am a C word, but I don't know why he had to bring it up. He's like, I don't call him gypsy or pikey. And he was like, true, but I don't think he would care either. And that was a kind of commentary on our society and culture where these guys are able to have that conversation in a situation where that normally would be, if you think about it, these are high testosterone people who normally, if you had said these things, would have been like, what the? But they had the presence of mind to break down what he said versus what he meant and why I felt that way and why it's not. And it said, oh, okay, I see where he's coming from. I still don't like it. And that's where I was like, bravo, script writing. Bravo.
Yeah, I thought it failed.
See, I liked it.
Like, even, like, just saying it out there doesn't give you the license to still say it.
See,
because that goes back also to,
I know you're going. Django Unchained?
No, still sticking with this movie.
Oh, I thought you were going Quentin.
Oh, we can talk about Quentin Tarantino and his use of the N-word. I was like, yeah, bro, just because you think you are cool black people, but whatever. No, I'm talking about this movie with the guy who had it said who was morally dubious all the time.
Fletcher?
Yes, Fletcher.
Played by Hugh Grant?
Hugh Grant. He says he's an Asian James Bond with a license to kill. Ugh.
But see, this is where I like that because you're not supposed to like Fletcher.
Yeah, but I mean, I still didn't like him without him saying that. I was like,
but see,
is that? Yeah.
Excuse me, but this is where I disagree because this is where you're not. Excuse me. Yeah, I almost called that day. I wasn't feeling too great. This is where I like that choice because you're not supposed to like Fletcher. Like, you're supposed to understand Fletcher, but you're supposed to look at him and be like, oh, you're the worst.
Yeah.
And that helps you say, oh, you are the worst. And there's a difference between Fletcher using something or saying something that was inappropriate versus other characters who have said inappropriate, but you still didn't have the aversion to them like you did Fletcher. And that's where I said, all of these people morally are bad.
Yeah.
But it's degrees and shades of who is the worst out of them. And Fletcher is one of the worst. If not the worst, depending on where you...
I mean, he was still a nasty person even without him saying, like, I didn't need him to say that for me to...
Sure.
All right,
like I said,
just whatever.
For each of them, I really... That whole scene in the boxing match, the gym, I loved. I love Colin Farrell.
Who are these people flipping around making this music video?
This is a millennial movie.
Yo, that song was kind of hot.
The song
I was like, this beat is kind of, I'm feeling this song.
But have you never heard beats like you've never listened to Tiny Tempo and some of the British rappers?
I'm unfamiliar with
okay,
it.
Yeah,
I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never taken the time to listen.
That's kind of how their music goes.
This is great.
It really is.
Yeah.
But this is a millennial movie in the sense of they're committing crimes with GoPros on their heads.
Yeah.
And then sophisticated editing and uploading. And this is where I was like, this is dumb. And then I thought about it, I was like, but this is a generation trying to break in.
Trying to be popular.
But that's what they do. Like, that's what that generation does. Like, everything must be uploaded. Everything must be, they literally committed heinous crimes.
Yeah. Shout out to Fran's Drama. I don't know. He was part of that gang of was that Burberry suits everybody was wearing? But it wasn't Burberry, but it was like...
Coach was wearing Burberry.
Okay.
They were wearing, I think it was Lacoste.
Okay. He played Benny. I know him from Letters of Tomorrow as being the half of Firestorm.
Oh, okay.
That's where I know him from. But yeah, it was cool to see him doing stuff because I know he left the CW shows. So I'm glad to see he's still doing acting and getting roles and stuff.
But yeah, that whole group of So let's backtrack. So when we watched the movie, we started with Fletcher telling Charlie Hunnam, who works for Matthew McConaughey, who plays a very good gangster.
Michael Pearson.
Yes.
Mickey Pearson. See, it was weird. I kept hearing Mickey and Michael, but maybe it was always Mickey the entire time.
It's probably Mickey.
I mean, yeah, sure. For some reason, I thought I heard Michael Pearson. I don't know. Whatever. Mickey. Got it.
So you saw Fletcher explained to Charlie Hunnam's character, I believe his name was...
Ray.
Ray?
Raymond, because Raymond.
Yeah.
Ray.
So he kept telling Ray, you should give me money because I know what's going on with you and your boss and him trying to get out of the drug game. You're trying to sell your drugs to who I felt was a very effeminate Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, and it like the way. See, that was another reason. Like, I feel like they were trying to make fun of him for being effeminate. I don't know. It didn't sit with me well.
To me, it didn't seem like they were trying to make fun of him for being effeminate. It seemed like they were trying to make him swarmy to the fact that you didn't like his smugness, because he was very smug. And there's a line between Matthew McConaughey and Rosalind, the woman who plays his wife, where he said about Matthew Strong, he's a fox. If you let him in...
Jeremy Strong.
Is it Jeremy?
Yes, Jeremy Strong. He plays Matthew.
But plays Matthew, okay.
Yes.
So he plays Matthew. If you let him in, he's a fox just like you are. Mm-hmm. And Matthew McConaughey's character says, I know, that's what's the interesting part. They were kind of sniffing each other. Mm-hmm. And he talks about that. So I felt like that was the swarminess of him. Mm-hmm. And kind of like that... I don't know if you've ever met somebody who has money, and they're very, and it's like that. It was almost like a caricature that he was playing of all of these ideas of people who have money and travel in these circles and know they belong, but also knows I have more money than God, and I can pretty much do what I want to do.
Right.
I felt it was like that. So we meet Fletcher. Fletcher's like, I have a business proposition for you, and they're paying, and he's like, you went from 150,000 to 20 million. Mm-hmm. How? And as he's explaining this whole thing, you get caught up in this tale. But I felt Fletcher, I had shades of the Joker, and which is why I couldn't go any higher, because I couldn't tell whether or not Fletcher was a reliable narrator. Whereas he would say things, and I'm like, did that really happen? Or did you make that up?
Well, because they would go back and tell you the part where he made up, though.
But the thing is, he would also say, well, that's what I think. And then Charlie Hunnam would be like, or Ray would be like, huh. Then you find out later on, there were certain things he did get right. Mm-hmm. There were certain things he did say that he guessed at that were true.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I didn't like that, and it reminded me of the Joker, where the whole unreliable narrator. And I just really didn't like that in the sense of, well, which person is really the person? Which one is Mickey Pearson? Is he the lion? Is he the crazy, or is he just... So I couldn't tell which one. And that's what I said. I personally really liked it.
So when did you... What part of the movie made you flip from being like, ooh, I don't know if I like this, to, oh, now I like it?
It probably wasn't until... after the first time Ray told him that didn't happen, when supposedly he shot Dry Eyes. And then as it went on, and Fletcher was like, yeah. It was after that, more so as the movie kept going, that I started to get involved, and I started to be like, okay, the movie just took off for me after we met the kids who robbed him.
Right.
And Colin Farrell's character got introduced. It was as that started happening, and then Charlie Hunnam tries to track down this girl. It was when that stuff started happening, I was like, okay, this is what I'm here for.
Okay.
Because it really wasn't clear. Like as I saw it, I was like, I knew what was going to happen, so I was along for the ride, but I didn't enjoy the ride until certain things fell into place.
Did you ever think that Michelle Dockery's character was a bad guy?
No.
Okay. The person I went to see it with, they thought that it might be a bad guy. Mm. And I'm like, I could kind of see it, but like, no. To me, it was always Jeremy Strong.
It was always Jeremy Strong. The only question was how much of Ray was involved. I did not know whether or not Ray was a loyal subject of Mickey, or was he in on it from the get-go. And that was my only question, like, how loyal are you, Ray? Mm-hmm. Because Ray would be out of a job as well.
Right.
But basically the whole idea is that Jeremy Strong is playing Matthew, who is basically Jeff Bezos, who wants to buy, and maybe, and I could be wrong, could be another billionaire they were trying to make fun of, but I felt like it was Jeff Bezos. And maybe that's just because the last couple of articles I read on billionaires was Jeff Bezos. So, but he wanted to buy a marijuana empire so that in and when it becomes legal, I would already be on board to flip this product.
Yeah.
And that to me was one of the smartest things in the movie. I thought that whole conversation between Matthew McConaughey and Jeremy Strong. That I thought was that's the dialogue between those two I thought was very good, because that was something that I don't think the common person thinks about. No. How again, they talked about prohibition. They talked about how you can have something that's illegal. It's going to take a while before legal remedies catch up to this thing that is now legal. And I thought that was very smart. So that's when I started to get more involved with the movie and started it being more believable.
What do you think of the framing device of the top layer for the most part, like present day being Ray and Fletcher, and they would go back and tell the story? Like, to me, I didn't like that editing choice of them telling a story, then going back, and then like a flashback within a flashback. I didn't like that.
See, that's what, now you know they did use that in Irishman.
Still haven't seen Irishman, because it's 3.5 hours, so,
well,
yeah.
Tomorrow maybe you got time.
Maybe. I won't.
They used that in The Irishman. They did a flashback within a flashback.
Okay.
See, that's why I said I didn't, and maybe I might be with you, and I maybe worded it differently. I wasn't on board because I couldn't tell which was if Fletcher was a reliable storyteller.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Ray wasn't giving anything up. No. So it wasn't as if Ray would correct him in the middle and be like, that's not how it happened. And then, so you knew what had actually transpired. Yeah. So the whole time you're like, did that really happen? So you're always kind of like, I don't know how invested to be. Yeah. So that's where I took issue with it. But it was really, like, this movie is really smart. Yeah. And it really was a gentleman's movie in the sense of how we handle things, how it really was a different kind of gangster movie in the sense of there were gritty parts, but those gritty parts are the underworld or lower class of criminals is not what we're looking at. Mm-hmm. We're looking at the people who travel in those circles with movie stars, actors, movie stars, athletes, the British.
In the case of British, the lords and ladies.
The lords and ladies, the aristocracy. So that's what this movie is a depiction of.
You had the guy who is, I think, underrated. I mean, people know him, but I wish people, Eddie Marsan, the guy who was the journalist editor, the newspaper editor, I always like him, so I think he's great. But he kept trying to become in that level as well. Again, and this, according to Fletcher, this all started because Mickey wouldn't shake his hand.
But again,
it's like, that's wild.
But how many times have we seen in real life respect has led to devastating consequences for various people involved? And that's why I said this movie was about class. This movie was about, here's a person who, and we've seen this before, and I don't know if you realize this, and maybe I'm trying to remember which one of our commenters, our subscribers, he's from the UK. John Donuts, thank you. I really wish we had more people from the UK who could talk about the difference in their media versus ours. Because those editors have targeted people. And that's something that has actually happened. Speak of the devil, Hugh Grant has talked about this when he went through his scandals. Yeah. Where he, I hate to bring in real politics, but he talks about, I understand Meghan Markle's decision to leave the UK because the British tabloid media is ruthless when they have set their sights on you. So I really like that real world, where they took these real world situations and put them in the movie in believable situations. And Eddie Marsan's character wanted to be recognized by these people and not just a tabloid rag editor. Yeah.
The person we haven't talked about, and I said he was shortchanged. We haven't said anything about Henry Golding, Dry Eye.
Snake Eyes.
Anything to say?
I thought he did a good job. I thought his wardrobe was very well done. I thought his mannerisms was very interesting, but I hated his typecasting in the sense of the young man who did not understand or was too hungry and almost blew things up. Because, again, here's a person who, this is what he's supposed to do, and he does the exact opposite of that and makes things worse.
Yeah.
Because if he had just stick to the script, this would have worked.
Yeah, they probably would have been able to.
They would have pulled it off.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. But I really enjoyed how smart this movie was, and just the sense of, again, this shows the generational gap, but also the intelligence of what happens to a business when something bad happens and that business is devalued. Because when those kids who were trained by Colin Farrell, aka Coach, did what they did, it was dumb. That was an old way of doing things Matthew McConaughey brought to the table. That would have been unthinkable. But what they did was a new generation of what criminals would do. We've seen, in our job, we have seen this before.
I kind of wish we had got to maybe see Coach train somebody. Personally, just to see him do something.
No, we don't. We saw him with those kids in the
yeah,
store.
but those were nobodies. those were those little kids were nobody. He made them seem like they were nobody, which was cool.
But I guess that was the funny thing about it, or the thing I liked about it was, they were nobody. But he's like, if you come to me, I can make you somebody. And I really enjoyed that. And when he was like, hey man, I know who told us about the location. Now you
Yeah.
I was there for all of that. What did you think of Matthew McConaughey though?
I thought it was fine. It's nothing I'm like, oh, this is his best performance ever. I thought it was Matthew McConaughey.
Really?
Which is fine. Yeah, I wasn't like...
So you couldn't see Matthew McConaughey outside of... Because to me, I liked him, but he really seemed like he was just doing the Lincoln commercials at times.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, what I'm saying is, like, there was nothing about, like, man, this is a tour de force performance. So, like...
Not like True Detective.
No. I was like, this is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. He just has that delivery, and I enjoyed listening to him for sure, but I wasn't like, man, this is incredible.
Will you buy this movie?
I would probably buy it digital. Yeah, probably. But I think I enjoyed Michelle Dockery more, his wife, Rosalind Pearson, more than him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Charlie Hunnam now, because I'm always bashing him. I liked him in this movie.
Because you a hater.
I mean, I don't think he was good in the Sword movie / Stab.
Yeah, because that's the only one he's ever done.
Yeah. I also didn't think he was good in Robot Punch.
So the only 2 movies you've seen him in, you didn't think he was good.
Yeah, correct.
So you never bothered to watch anything else he was in?
No, those are things I tried to watch, and he wasn't great in it. I gave you 2 chances.
But okay, continue.
Yeah, but hey, he was good in this.
Charlie really appreciates that.
Friend of the show, Charlie Hunnam, come on, tell us why you were so good in this movie.
Yeah, he really appreciates that.
That's fine.
You're
Man, Charlie Hunnam don't care about me. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Him and Henry Cavill, they'll both be fine.
No comment. No comment.
Yeah. Closing thoughts?
1, you're a hater. 2, I really like the throwback or the integration of Real World and The Office at the end, where you saw the man from U.N.C.L.E. in the background.
Oh, because they're at the Miramax?
Yes. It was interesting seeing Miramax in the movie, or like the beginning of the movie, and then seeing Miramax in the movie. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Somebody bought Miramax, and then so it's no longer tied to. But I thought that was interesting. I really enjoyed it. It did take me a minute to get involved with it. I'd really like to know what some other people think. This is a buy for me. I would buy and own this. This would go in the rock and roll snatch section of my DVD collection, Blu-ray collection.
Where else would it go?
I mean, sometimes I don't like I may buy something digitally, but I won't own the physical copy.
Okay. Gotcha.
So like I buy like depending on how that steelbook looks, I might buy a steelbook of this.
Okay.
Because I own some other steelbooks of some of these movies, so
Okay.
this would be a nice little one to go on the shelf to display, or whatever. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. That's it for us on this movie. We both liked it. Let us know what you think of the movie. Good question. What are some of your favorite British gangster movies, or just gangster movies in general? I think we've asked that before, but we can ask it again.
There's a lot of them, and
Yeah.
not just Guy Ritchie. Go watch I'll Sleep When I'm Dead with Clive Owen. We've talked about Layer Cake before. I'm trying to think of there's a couple of other ones that I own a bunch of them, and this is the one time I need to know them and I can't remember. The Big Green, which is basically the longest yard, but instead it's soccer. And it's who's the guy who played the Juggernaut? Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones plays the star athlete who goes to prison, and then they guards versus whatever. But that's another kind of gangster movie, but it's a sports movie as well. I'm trying to think of some more. There's a ton of them.
He'll keep thinking of them. Like, comment, subscribe here. In addition to finding us on YouTube, you can find us where?
I think it's The Mean Green. Let me look it up.
You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and WOTX.com, and we're out.
I'll find that movie for you guys. I won't let you down.